August 11th. Destroy everything you touch. In her bed, Sunset Shimmer tossed and turned. Shimmer looked at the skyline of her homeland with horror. Paris burned. The City of the Lights was lit with an inferno, and the Eiffel Tower and other landmarks were reduced to rubble or slagged. Oh, great. Did somebody play Twisted Metal 2 again? As she walked the streets, she could see bodies strewn everywhere, innocent victims ground up in a charnel house, but one example of what she bore witness to. The very sky itself seemed to burn with volcanic hues of scarlet, orange, and black. What happened here? She thought with her jaw slack in horror. Not knowing the answer, she continued to walk through the shattered streets and cindered alleyways, looking for something, anything of a sign of life other than herself. Eventually, she found herself at the steps of her school, the Lycée International de Saint-Germain-en-Laye. But like everything else he had seen so far, it was a soot-stained shell. The wood and glass seared away, leaving behind a bare shell of bricks. And in the center of what was the school's lobby, 4 bodies. 3 had been stripped of their attire, then crucified, brutally murdered, and slapped up on seared wooden beams, a cruel mockery of Christ. The 4th one was just before it, a body laid before a dark symbol of her nation's past. A guillotine having been used. Emma looked up and gasped in horror. There, stripped before the world in murder, were her best friends, Night Lily, Beachcomber, and Priceless. Their deaths had been painful, and additionally, Beachcomber's throat had been slit as her lifeblood poured over her naked body. Shimmer scrambled back, instinctively running into the guillotine. Her eyes were instinctively drawn to the bloody blade, then to the basket, where she saw the head within. She screamed as she saw the decapitated remains of her mother, Solaire, her lilac eyes staring with a blank horror into eternity. Shimmer screamed, unable to move and transfixed by the murder of those closest to her. Only stopping when she heard the cruel laughter behind her. Soon a voice familiar to her whispered. Then she felt a searing sensation as her clothing exploded away from her. She felt her arms wrenched towards the back, and bit a scream as she, too, was nailed to a wooden beam. A strange figure approached her. She heard the laughter once more, followed by a statement. I am coming, and you cannot stop me. The last thing she heard was the mocking laughter as cool implements gored her from the neck to her groin. In her bed, Sunset Shimmer tossed and turned. Sunset looked at the skyline of her birth home with horror. Candlelight burned. The capital of the world was alit with green spellfire, as the parapets and spires of the white skyline were reduced to rubble or slag. As she walked the streets, she could see bodies strewn everywhere, innocent victims ground up in a charnel house. The very sky itself seemed to burn with volcanic hues of scarlet, orange, and black. What happened here? She thought, her jaw slick with horror. Not knowing the answer, she continued to walk towards the shattered streets and cindered alleyways, looking for something, anything of a sign of life other than herself. Eventually she found herself at the front gates of Camelot Palace. Seeing everything burned as if the world had been turned to cinders by Celestia's power. The castle was nothing more now than a soot-stained shell, the wood and glass seared away, leaving behind a battered pile of bricks. And in the center of what was the foyer, countless bodies, ponies she knew as friends, those of Princess Twilight's court, were cruelly stabbed with spears as they were animals that had just been hunted to death. Behind them were her best friends, their human counterparts. And Sunset screamed at what had been done to them. She rushed to their sides, looking for signs of life, but found none. She went wild, eyes looking at those she cared about, slaughtered. In the distance she heard laughter, cruel and mocking. The human called Cyan Spellfire to her hands. You've made a big mistake! She screamed in the direction of the laughter, rushing forward ready to deal some damage. She'd been taught magical combat by the finest guards, and it was the former prodigy, a circuit daughter of the princess of all. She would have her revenge. Sunset followed the laughter through the blackened halls of the castle, throwing fireballs. Along the way, she summoned an auto rifle, and part of her made her think that she probably looked like Daring Do did during the worst parts of the Tomb Raider remake video game she bought. But this was worse. So much worse. Finally, she reached the darker remains of what used to be her rooms within the palace. The laughter came from within, and Sunset answered by pulling the trigger, letting a spray of bullets rocket forth, but he disappeared into the inky blackness and nothing more. Figuring conventional weapons weren't enough, she dropped the rifle and resummoned her magic, eyes ablaze with power and ready to fight for her the sake of those she loved. What she found shocked her once more. In the middle of her bedroom, impaled on a dizzy array of spikes, crucifixes, and various horrific elements, was her family. Both families. She found herself frozen in shock, looking at the remains of both her mothers, who had been, since it turned and vomited, unable to take the shock. Everyone she loved, everyone she knew, had been horrifically murdered, and, in the case of Princess Celestia and Twilight Velvet, Sunset forced herself not to think of it. "You could have died for them," a voice said in a sing-song tone. "Come out!" Sunset ordered, forcing herself back to her feet as her body ignited with an aura of spell fire. "I am the Archmages of Equestria, and there will be justice served!" "There is no such thing as justice," the voice said, and threw something at her. Sunset saw what it was, and forced herself to focus on the direction as the voice decapitated head of Princess Twilight flew past her. "Else now! I will not say it again!" Sunset demanded as the aura grew to the power of a star. "If you insist." A figure stepped out of the darkness, and out of Sunset's worst nightmares, wearing an outfit that left nothing to the imagination, with deep purple bat wings and coronas of dark light around her eyes. Twilight came forth, dragging the dead corpse of their cousin Octavia. Twilight kissed the dead body and threw it down. "You ruined my fun," she said with a giggle. "Twilight," Sunset murmured, shocked. "What? Will you die for me, sister?" Twilight said she sauntered forward, the thin leather straps she wore accentuating her body in ways Sunset never thought her sister was capable of. "And yet again with a hot woman, and I can't enjoy this! God, I need a hot and heavy Rukia Renji fic. Or will you continue to lie to me? Sister got me your fractions of an inch for sister." "Twilight, why?" "Because you need to pay," Twilight said, producing a knife. The last thing the former unicorn felt was being stabbed in the heart. Shimmer woke up with a start. She was sweating bullets, her clothing soaked, and despite the summer warmth, she shivered. "Put it in mud!" she thought. She hugged herself for security in an attempt to warm herself. "Jesus, get a hold of yourself, Shimmy. You'll be fine. Just a dream." Writing her bed off as a loss, she changed to new sleepwear and went to crash on the couch. She didn't sleep well for the remainder of the night. Sunset woke up with a start. She was sweating bullets, her clothing soaked, and despite the summer warmth, she shivered. "What the fuck?" she thought. "What the hell was that?" She hugged herself for security, and with an attempt to warm herself, "Christ, get a hold of yourself, Sonny. You'll be fine. Just a dream." Not wanting to deal with stepping out of her room, Sunset quickly cast a drying spell, cleaning up both her bed and sleepwear, then crawled back under the sheets. She didn't sleep well for the remainder of the night. Sunset strolled down the stairs, feeling like the waking dead. She attempted to cast her rejuvenation spell, but with the others in the house likely awake now, it didn't seem to be a good idea. So instead, she threw herself into the shower, then got dressed and came out, hair bunched up in a towel, yawning. "Hey, Sonny boy, did you mess up?" Spike said. "Yeah, good morning to you too, Squirt," Sunset replied as she met him at the stairs. "What's up?" "Did you and Twilight have a fight? Because she told me this morning that she wanted me to use up all the hot water." Sunset groaned. Only her sister would think of something so petty, given she admitted once doing it a couple of years back when she and Octavia had been arguing. "Don't worry, I didn't do it," he whispered. "Mom would kill me if I did." She mussed his hair. "Don't worry, your secret's safe with me," she said with a grateful smile. The two went downstairs, where Twilight was sitting at the table with Velvet. There was a noticeable frigidity to the younger girl. A sister she had never seen her sister before, Sunset noted. Even during the week that Twilight hadn't spoken to her, it hadn't been this bad. The plum-haired scholar's body language had strongly indicated that she wanted the argument to end, but was waiting for Sunset to make the first move. Not this time, however. Twilight's round-rod posture made it clear that whatever had come between them still hadn't cleared. "Good morning, you two," Velvet said as he looked at her children. "Good morning, Spike," Twilight said in an overly saccharine tone, clearly meant to be mocking. She did not, however, acknowledge the flame-haired girl in any way. "Twilight," Sunset began. "I'm sorry, did anyone hear the sound of pants on fire?" Twilight said idly. "I thought I heard denim and flame, but it must have been me." She then turned back to her mother. "So, is Taffy going to be out of the hospital today? It'd be nice to have an older sister type I can rely on. Not that I apparently seem to know what that is." Velvet briefly considered correcting her daughter, but decided a peaceful breakfast was more valuable at the moment. "I don't know. I took the day off in case I needed to head over there, but it's going to be a long day for me otherwise." She turned to her older daughter. "If you don't mind, I'd like you to come with me. I'm sure Taffy would appreciate a familiar face after being cooped up all night in the hospital." "Sure thing," Sunset said. "Since I don't have to work today, I should be good to go." "What about you, Twilight?" Velvet asked. "No, I have things to do," she said in a tone that indicated she really did have things to do. "You and the Fabulous should be fine." She got up from the table with her breakfast half eating. "I need to get going, Mom. Get Taffy, my love, and I'll see you later." She went over and kissed Velvet on the cheek, then mussed Spike's hair, before completely leaving Sunset alone. Sunset sighed. She slumped in a chair. Velvet gave her older daughter a sympathetic look. "Give it time. You know Twilight's sensitive about things like that, and she looks up to you, so for you to turn on her, real or otherwise, hurts her so immensely. Although," Velvet paused by her statement by taking a drink from her coffee before continuing with, "I would like to actually know if you're lying to your sister about something." "Et tu, Bertie? I'm glad to see you're paying attention to your education more, but that's not going to cut with me, Sonny, and you know it." Sunset looked genuinely hurt. "Do you actually think I'm going to lie about something like that, Mom?" Velvet nodded. "Yes, actually, I think you would." Seeing the crestfallen look on her daughter, Velvet added, "Sonny, people don't change overnight. While I'm proud of the strides you've made, you're still capable of the things that no girl your age should be able to do. And while I don't think you lied to Twilight intentionally, you may have done so to protect her, but she inherited her sense of sniffing out the truth from your father's side of the family. She suspects something is afoot, even if I don't think you're meant to hurt her." Sunset sat for a few moments in silence before saying, "The handwriting. It's not based on Twilight's. At the start of the last year, just before my epiphany, we had an exchange student come to our school. Some girl from Paragon City by the name of Purple Smart. I got into a fight with her for the weeks she was here, and I did just about anything to get in trouble. I found a handwritten report from her to one of our teachers, and I copied it. I learned to copy her handwriting from that. From there, I got the idea to leave notes that she was sleeping with Mr. Tofu, the technology teacher. Anyway, it didn't work. I left, and she helped Rarity embarrass me for the title of Princess of the Homecoming Dance. It didn't come up again until the subject that Miss Luna taught, and I needed some handwriting that didn't look like the others, so I used hers. Honestly, I didn't know it'd be an exact copy of Twilight's writing, Mom. Honest." The look on Velvet's face was both horrifying and understanding at the same time. "So let me get this straight. You tried to feign both a student and a teacher for something that would have gotten the student sent back in disgrace, and the teacher fired if not charged for statutory?" "Not one of my better ideas," Sunset said with a tone of embarrassment. "Plus, Miss Celestia informed me that I wasn't the first to do that, so Mr. Tofu was used to it. Sonny, I'm honestly glad this is water under the bridge, or else that would seriously put a hamper on the adoption." Sunset looked as though she'd been slapped, but Velvet stood firm. "I am, however, glad you told me this. Let me verify it with Tia, and I can talk to Twilight. May take a few days, given that Tia is too tied up with that boyfriend of hers as of late." Sunset blinked. "Miss Celestia's dating?" "Yeah, color me even more surprised than you." Velvet laughed as he looked at the phone. "Anyway, we should get going soon. Spike, if you want to visit a friend, tell Twilight first, okay?" Elsewhere. The best thing that Vesper and Magical could say was that the new place the triplets and the other two sirens had moved into was substandard, to say the least. As well as the abandoned building across the street from Sunnytown High, and one of the better neighborhoods in the city. if any neighborhood in the sunny town could be better than the other. But with the aftermath of the hurricane, most people were shying away from this location. Still, the building had power and the wire hadn't been gunned up by the system, so they were looking good. As he walked in, the two newcomers stood at attention, dropping the books he had been reading and read their salutes. "Good morning, ma'am," they said in unison. They realized their subordinates weren't moving at all. Vesper laughed. "At ease. Our sewers know we don't stand on ceremony, and I'd rather see results than a perfect salute. Besides, we're special forces. We leave the polish crap to the regular sailors." So he went over and shook hands with the duo. "Lieutenant Vesper Blue, but you can call me Vesper." So he hugged his thumb at her counterpart, adding, "And my partner here is Lieutenant Magical Storm." Magical extended her hand as well. "Just call me Maddie. Welcome to our little interaction." Sunnyside nodded. "Given what we saw wine turn into, I don't doubt there's anything little about it." Evergreen Pine nodded. "If anything, I think we're on a quest to save the world, as easy as that sounds. If what Sonata was unable to unearth was on that last night is even remotely true, we have a duty to stop it. Not just because we're sirens, but because we're people." "Well said, sis," Side told her, and Evergreen blushed. Magical patted the girl on the shoulder and went over to Sonata. "Okay, Sonny, what you got?" What you said over the phone sounded a little far-fetched. Sonata pointed at one of the laptops, where a sniper scope was attached to via USB. "Just finished downloading the images from Ari's scope camera." She handed the laptop over to the older woman, saying, "Watch for yourself." Magical and Vesper watched the transformation on the video, their faces becoming frozen masks of shock. This is real?" Vesper blurred. It was a good thing I was using armor-piercing rounds," Arya said as he approached her sewer. "We could have been in serious trouble otherwise." "I can't believe it. Anyway, what else have you found?" "Project Arcanine. Whatever it is, it's been mostly completed," Sonata said. "The attacks are ritualistic, each based on a series of indicators, though I'm not sure how just yet. That might take some intelligent analysis, though the other names might also be moot at this point." "No, we find that pattern." Adagio snarled Sonata, enough that it would make the younger girl triplet wince. "They nearly killed Rainbow. That list you just uncovered for justice? Twilight was on that!" Adagio slumped to her chair. "She could be dead for all we know. Killed by her own." Turning back to her computer, Sonata said, "I know. And that's why I'm risking everything to get the rest of these subfolders cracked, sis. Do you think I want our friends in the line of fire?" Vesper and Magical looked at each other, and both nodded at once. "Sides, come here if you would." The trio walked a slight distance away from the others, and Magical said, "We're going to give you a list. You need to make sure that the girls on this list are safe." Vesper held out her phone, and gestured for Side to come do the same. The blonde passed the officer her phone and said, "Normally, I say this isn't regulation, but there's nothing really regulation about this. Take it the triplets know these girls? We were part of an advance team, so the triplets were here long enough to become close friends with them," Vesper explained. "From an operational standpoint, I'd be concerned that this would degrade their performance, but I'm not going to say any bullshit like that. The fact is that these 8 are defenseless girls, and while a few of them might be able to fight, fighting doesn't mean shit against a bullet, much less like katanas throwing at them." Magical nodded. "As you can see, we care about our sewers more than just their personnel." "Don't sweat it," Side said, waving it off. "Greenie and I were raised by our sewers as sisters, so that's what we are. Just is, our sewers were lovers, so they acted more like parents to us than trainers, so you don't have to explain a thing to me. I'll check it out and make sure they're safe, I promise." With that, she headed out following the list. Side left. Magical turned to the remainder. "What else do we have?" Evergreen looked up from the computer as he sat by. "Whatever this shit is for, the Arcanine part of the mission is being covered very well. The media believes it's a copycat for some murders back in the 1980s. Unsolved set of murders back in Los Angeles." "Maybe not as unsolved as we think," Sonata said, peering at her screen. "Guess who went to university back then?" She turned her laptop. "Prince Devine was a student at the University of Southern California back during the murders. He was studying, get this, human psychology, and also had a minor in mythology." "Great. So we're dealing with a psychopath who's been doing this shit before and doing it again." "No proof of that," Arya says he went to her computer and he never found a suspect. Sitting on her bed, Adazio is stewing in her juices, and with the kind of person the prince is, he's got a too high profile to get away with that kind of stuff. So he got up and started to pace, a grim look on her face. Anything else we can find out about that time frame? Vesper went over to Adazio and patted her shoulder. Unless you changed your name to Billionaire Playboy and had Shane's name we don't know about, you could drop the Batman stick, Dazzy. This is real life. Yeah, I know, but our friends will be fine, Mothergirl told him. We just sent Sides to check on their status. But assuming they're okay, the only keep them okay, so you find out who the next victim is and what their mythology is. Evergreen nodded. Shit for the cops. We're not police, for fuck's sake. So surprised, Sanaa punched her shoulder. What the fuck, Sonny? The look on Sanaa's face was somewhere between tired and angry. We not be the police, she said. But that means when we finally put a stop to this, we don't have to worry a trial either. All I need is a verdict around right between Katana's fucking eyes, Vesper said. No one in the room could argue with that.
Elsewhere, this is getting way out of hand,
Brad said to nobody in particular. Seated across from him, Agent Sephir Breeze, diplomatic security service, looked bleak. He was actually in a suit for a change. It was desperate enough that he actually said, Look, I don't know what the hell you guys are doing about whatever the fuck is going on, but my job is to protect a couple of high-profile visitors in the area. Now my partner is missing, and you guys are telling me that there's a fucking serial killer in town that might put her down? The statue was blonde, with tan skin and blonde eyes looked at the man. Look, please. No, you look, you stuck-up FBI paper pusher! The phrase sparked. Sal's parents asked me to keep an eye on her, but we were doing the babysitting doing up in Seattle. Now what the hell am I supposed to tell them? Sir, I could lie and say that Saf lost her life protecting her charges, but we both know that isn't the case. Once the media vultures find out that DSS agent is missing, pursued dead at the hands of this handy dead guy. Damn, Mother, the woman replied. What the fuck ever, Miss Chatterbox? Tell me, did you get this assignment by bending over or spreading your legs? The girl gasped.
Agent Breeze, I can get that you're angry and frustrated, Baz told him. But Agent Trinity Starr just flew in from LA this morning, so he's playing catch up as well. There's no need to get on our case.
Yeah, he admitted. Sorry. Anyway, I've asked the princess to stay put for a moment while I find out what happened to Agent Masala. And that won't last long. I already got someone flying in as well, but I want Sal found alive and well. Got that? Shining Armor, who had been quiet all this time, gave the DSS agent a nod. We're working on it. We'll work on it faster, Steve said. After the meeting ended, Shining and Star got in the car and headed off. First stop is Everfree Glades. Need to talk to the parents of those two dead girls.
That'd be Lavender Blues and Fusiliers, right?
Lavender Lace and Fusa Blues, actually. HBPD found them in Shining glanced into his jacket pocket and pulled out the photos, or you'll see. Star looked at the photos and then back to him. Yeah, I can see how this might affect someone, as he replied, setting them on the dashboard. Hope we don't have to show them to our parents. Shining looked at her as he'd grown a third eye. You're not bothered by them? No, I'm not. Remember, I work in L.A., where some fresh-faced kids come from the Midwest, thinking they're going to hit the big time as an actor. And boom! Next thing you know, you're finding what's left of them after they inadvertently starred in a snuff film. So he fixed soulful blue eyes on him. So how's Sandy doing? Sandy? As in Sandalwood? Yeah. Bad said you knew her. She and I spent time in the Navy. So I was intel, she was MP. I got out, got offered a position with the feds. I offered her to get an in, but she said she wanted to go back home. Had something important to do here. Well, can't tell you what that is, since I don't know. But I do know Sandy. We grew up together, and she and my wife are best friends. Why? Sandy, you goddamn idiot, Star muttered under her breath. Now I know what it is. Or who. You say something, Star? She shook her head. No, nothing. I guess I better get on my research. The FBI doesn't pay for my specialty for nothing after all. Specialty? Yeah. I'm an LA physics specialist on occult cases. In case you haven't noticed, this has a cult written all over it.
Damn it!
Define swept the equipment and papers off his desk a second before upturning at himself.
We are so damn close, he seethed. So damn close!
He had been in a rage for the past few minutes, and Katana, taking a rare day off from her duties, wasn't about to let her insignificant other continue to throw a temper tantrum and have it affect her. At the moment, she was seated in a plush chair they had appropriated for their bedroom. She was reading a book, and dressed in a simple pair of jeans and a t-shirt. For the first time in a while, she had been out of her uniform. Still, if she was going to get what she wanted, it meant she had to pay at least a modicum of attention to him. So close to what? Katana asked him, closing the book she'd been reading.
The fog, he muttered. That godforsaken fog that happens whenever...
She looked at him oddly and explained,
I have been using so much power that I've temporarily exhausted it, and it feels like everything mystical is hazy to me. Hence my term.
She got up and went over to him, putting her arms around him. Men were so easy to figure out after all, and Katana had him to be credited practically from day one. Maybe you should take a day off. We could do other things, you know. Maybe you should take your queen to be out on a date. I do so love French food, and there's a place in San Palema. She reached over and kissed him. Trust me, making me happy would be fairly worth your while. He gave her a wan smile, one she knew wasn't real.
At last, I cannot rest. We're so close. In a few days, the harmonic convergence will be here. And if I don't do it then, I'll have to wait another 30 years. I doubt either you or I was doing that long.
Harmonic convergence? Katana asked. Didn't that happen ages ago? I was on an op at that time, so I didn't pay too much attention to the news, admittedly.
There are many kinds of convergences, the prince said, and each of them filled a different magical purpose. You're clearly thinking of the one where the planets are entirely in alignment, in a straight row, like a gaggle of school children. Well, yes, that one serves a mystical purpose. There are others who do that as well. The one coming up in a few days is a mandala formation, and these are perfect for summons.
Mandala formation. Divine walked over to a whiteboard that he had knocked over in his tantrum. Picking up a marker, he started to draw. Okay, so... Luckily I know my planetary symbols. Apparently, there's the Earth in the center. Mars is on the top, connected by lines to the right to, I think that's Saturn or Jupiter. Down below is the symbol for Mercury, and to the left is the symbol for Venus.
Now you get it?
Sure, she said, still not understanding a thing. Granted, she didn't really believe in magic existed until she met him, and so far, he'd done things he never thought possible. But that didn't mean that there wasn't any kind of information she had on mystical warfare, though she was trying to pick things up as quickly as she could. It did not do for the future queen of the world to be lacking in any form, after all. It didn't mean she could.
The Divine groaned. There! It's there! He shouted at her eyes filled with anger. How can you be so blind?
She frowned. Let's get something straight, Divine. I'll be your wife, but I'm no pushover. In case you haven't forgotten, I'm a soldier. That means I can break you in half without a sweat. And all those ladies you're turning into monsters, they work for me. So don't ever raise your voice at me again. Are we clear? A strange look came over the prince's face, and inwardly, Katana felt prepared for anything. Would he snap? Would he apologize? Probably not that, given though he could be a massive dick at times. Would he attack her? She would pin him down, sure, but then she wouldn't have access to his wealth and other things, as much as he hated to admit it. She needed him as much as he needed her. She wasn't sleeping him just because she enjoyed it. Well, not entirely in any case. He walked away from her and plumped in the chair.
I need to rest. You're right. I need to conserve what little power I have left before the convergence occurs. It'll likely come to me in an instant anyway. Tell the black team to capture the last 2 girls on their list. After that, they can take a few days off. But be ready at a moment's notice. We will need to work quickly.
Sure, she said, glad that the whole thing de-escalated without him losing his cool. Whatever her having to hurt him. Anything else?
Yes. He handed her a water glass. Find yourself a decent rest tonight. I'll make reservations at that restaurant, and we can have a night of dinner and dancing.
a way to celebrate an inevitable victory. He gave her a smile, a genuine one this time, she could tell. That sounds enough to me, she said, giving him a kiss. Also a genuine one, and walked off to take care of her business. She would learn to love him in time, she was pretty sure. After all, it was her divine right. As she departed, Define gave himself a wry smile. He knew he pushed it with her, and he knew that she was more than capable of following through with her threats. Fortunately, she was smarter than her, commander of his forces or no. After all, she was just a woman, and like any woman, all you had to do was show them a bit of attention, and instantly got weak to the knees. Even a woman like Katana Blast was no exception. But for now, he had bigger fish to fry. He had to start his meditation soon. It'll help boost his power just enough to make it through the few days. Make it through he must. No so much riding on his success, and failure would be another disaster. But he knew he would win in the end. After all, it was his divine right. Meanwhile, back with Twilight. Well, Flares, this is such an amazing place, Twilight says. He entered the penthouse where Fluttershy and her family were living. The chiffon hair girl brushed it off. Oh, it's nothing, Twilight, she said with a smile. I've had to get used to it for a while, since Dad said it's gonna be a bit until the new house is built. As it is, I feel guilty about having all my friends had to go through the hotel's lobby just to get up here. Twilight gave her friend a smile. It's not a problem, really. If anything, it's kind of interesting. It's interesting I could do without, especially now that it's public knowledge of who I am, she said with a blush. So are the rest here? Fluttershy nodded. Rainbow arrived just a few minutes ago, so everyone's here except for Sunny and Tavi. Are you sure they're not gonna make it? Positive. I'll explain later, Twilight demurred. So I just go and meet everyone in the living room? Please. I'm getting snacks and drinks. Ree's just setting up everything. Go ahead and I'll join you all shortly. Twilight nodded, walking towards the living room. A part of her felt that doing this was wrong. That these were Sunset's friends, and they weren't going to believe Twilight's story that she thought her sister was hiding something from her. Then again, they could honestly overreact, and that would put Sunset in a worse position. A position she put herself in by lying to me, Twilight recalled. A position I don't want her to be in, but she has to learn her lesson. How's she going to learn anything about trusting us if she keeps lying? As the blonde-haired scholar entered the living room, she could see her friends gathered there. Sup? Rainbow asked. Laser Cube, you okay? Applejack asked. As he said, everyone turned to see Twilight and her sober face. It's not about Taffy, is it? It's not, but I'd rather talk about when everyone's here, Twilight responded. Well, I'm back, Fluttershy said, carrying a tray of various sodas, chips, and cookies. Within the usual pinkiness that was Pinky, she seemed to flip from her chair to the cookies that was back in her chair in less than a second, thinking the next second to inhale several of them. This is good! Pinky blurred between bites. Pinky dear, don't talk with your mouth full, if you please, Rarity told her. Dad made them, Fluttershy explained. She set the tray down on the table. He's really enjoying the time being a husband and a father. He told the rest of the band to take a year off to work on solo projects. I think he's happier now. I know I am. She looked at Twilight. Anyway, we're all here now, Twilight, so go ahead. First, no matter what I tell you girls, will you still be my friends when all this is said and done? Absolutely, Pinky chirped. Friends always help each other's backs. She bounced out her seat and over to Twilight. So, tell us what's on your mind. I think Sunny's lying to me about something. Something big, Twilight said. I found these in her room. She told him as she handed over the letters. I understand it's part of the school assignment, but I don't think there's anything that will allow her to copy your handwriting, would it? The girls looked at the letters. Denise and others mixed her confusion and misunderstanding. Yes, this is our handwriting, Fluttershy began. At least this one's mine. Mine too, Applejack said, holding up the letter. Mine too, Pinky chirped, holding the letter in different directions, as if trying to read it from the side, upside down, and from the back. But I don't know why I would call Auntie Cup and Uncle Carrot Mr. and Mrs. Kink. Sure, that's their second names, but it's not like that's like I'm not related or anything. Weird. But I'm not sure what to say about this Twilight idea. Would you be so kind as to give us a couple of minutes? Sure, I'll go get us some soda reloads, Twilight offered, and headed towards the direction of the kitchen. As he did, she began to hear the low buzz of people whispering to each other. She wasn't sure how to feel in regards to that. She felt elated telling them about it. But again, She could seriously hurt her sister standing with her friends. From what Sunset understood, up until fairly recently, these were the only friends that the flame-haired girl had. Was she doing the right thing? Did it make any sense? Will I forgive my sister for this? After a couple of minutes, she came back with the tray. Her friends looked back at her with strange glances, and Twilight was unable to read them. That just sounds strange, dear, Rarity began. Strange? These are perfect copies of our handwriting, Rarity, Twilight said. Aren't you worried? Yeah, it does look odd, Twilight, I'll admit that, Applejack said. So at the completion of her statement, there was a huge indicator she wasn't going to say anything further. First, I took it from there. I know this looks odd, Twilight, but you had to trust Sunny. We do, even after looking at this. Rainbow? Twilight played, looking for some sanity. The day he approached us and says he wanted to change, you should have seen the look in her eyes. There's no faking that, so I believe her. And I know if the situation was reversed, she'd do the same. Pinkie? She's your sister, Twilight. What are you accusing her of? Pinkie was abnormally serious at that point. Twilight could swear she saw Pinkie's hair starting to straighten. She loves you and would do anything to protect you. She has protected you, or have you forgotten that? No, I haven't. A guilty look crept up on Twilight's face. But I don't like the fact that she's lying to me about something, girls. She's my sister and part of my family. She has to let go of whatever her past is because she's with us now and is never going to come back again. I won't let it! Tears started to crawl down Twilight's cheeks. When she first came to live with us, she was so standoffish because she was afraid that she got closer to us, her past would haunt her. But it's just that, the past, right? When she lied to me, it felt like that all over again. Twilight, Rarity murmured, posing the distraught girl. It's not like that. Yes, sir, Cleo. It is, Applejack said. There was only fell silent as the other girls, save for Twilight, looked at Applejack for the other shock. Applejack continued to look at Twilight. Twilight, I can say without a doubt that I've never told a lie in my life, even when I sorely wanted to. Hell, even it was probably better than I did tell a lie. I never did. Never sat right with me. So I tell you this is true. Sonny is lying to you. And yes, we know why. E.T., what the fuck? Rainbow said, but Applejack turned to glare at her. Rainbow glared back a second, then finally nodded, breaking the deadlock. She turned to Twilight and added, You know me. Well, anyone's got my back. And I know Sunny's got my back. So I got hers. Yes, E.T.'s telling the truth. Sunny's lying to you, but there's a good reason for it. Wait, you're telling me you all know? The five nodded in unison. Twilight looked down, anger creeping up her face. You're going to tell me just when? Never! Pinkie said as her hair put back in place. Twilight, you're not ready for this. It's not a place to say. Trust me. Everyone has a secret they want to keep from their loved ones. I'm sure you do too. Not really. I'm not one to keep secrets from my family, Twilight grunted. Rarity stepped in. But you see, Twilight dear, while that is your personal stance, not everyone has that same kind of reaction. And you know that Sunset would tell you. Tell all of you, if you are ready. This is not something that should be discussed easily. Oh, please. What, like my sister's actually an adult in her 30s or something? Twilight commented, looking down to spear a chip and an onion dip, and thankfully missing the surprised looks of the others. As they looked back up, and the girls recomposed themselves, Twilight continued, What, is it that she was sexually abused as a child, or she's the daughter of a incestuous relationship, or that she even had a child of her own? The room was filled with silence again. Rarity looked uncomfortable, as did Applejack. Rainbow said nothing. Fluttershy had a complimenting look on her face, but for some reason Pinkie had a hurt and angry glare to answer Twilight with. But that was quickly gone before the plum-haired teen could ask further. No, and no, Fluttershy finally said. And that's a clear indicator I need to stop lending you some of my manga. Everyone looked at her and shrugged. What? You thought that Rainbow was the only one who read my scantilations? Rarity just shook her head, trying to steer the conversation back on track. Be that as it may, dear, the fact that Sunset told us in confidence, we are all about to that confidence. You wouldn't want us to break a promise with you. Yeah, no shit, Rares. Rainbow added, breaking a promise is the fastest way of fucking up a friendship. Forever! Pinkie suddenly said behind Twilight. She jumped in fright. Don't mind me, that's why I said yes. She said as she grabbed the bag and eventually teleported back to her seat. Twilight sat there for the longest time, digesting her friend's words. Whatever Sunset had told him, it was clearly in confidence, and she wasn't ready to tell her family yet. Yet they knew it, and it still trusted her completely and utterly. even if it could, in theory, be bad. Would she ever tell them? Wasn't it even Twilight's business to know? And would it be changed if the secret got out? I don't know, Twilight thought to herself. She loved Sunset dearly, but was also completely bothered by the lack of truth. Twilight was a woman of science. Science meant seeking the truth out, even if it was uncomfortable to shatter taboos. But if I do that, will I shatter my own sister? As the rest of the conversation went on, and they talked about their upcoming trip in a couple of days, Twilight couldn't really answer what the question was, much less even know the answer entailed. She only knew it was unintentionally driving a wedge between her and Sunset. She couldn't quite forgive her sister until she knew the truth, whatever it was. She could only hope that Sunset would forgive her when Twilight finally found out.